All right, today we are tackling a really powerful idea, something called monitoring and evaluation. And it's all about one thing, getting proof, not just promises.
I mean, think about it for a second. Billions, literally billions of dollars are spent every year on projects that are meant to change the world. But here's the big question. How do we actually know if any of it is working? Good intentions are great, but they're not enough, right? We need to know what's effective and what's not.
So let's get into it. Section 1, the billion-dollar question. And the answer to that question? It lies in a field called monitoring and evaluation, or as you'll often hear it, M&E. You see, every single project out there, whether it's a tiny local charity or some huge global initiative, is making a promise. And M&E? Well, M&E is how we check if that promise is actually being kept. It's the system we use to learn from what we do, the good and the bad, so we can get better. It's about holding ourselves accountable, you know? It's really about checking the receipts on those promises. All right, Section 2. A really great way to get your head around this is to think of M&E as a project's health checkup. And just like a checkup, it has two different but really important parts. Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got monitoring. Think of this as the regular, routine checkup. It's happening all the time, asking the question, are we doing things right? Are we on schedule? Are we on budget? Then you have evaluation. This is more like a deep dive specialist appointment. It's periodic, and it asks a much bigger, more fundamental question. Are we doing the right things? Is this project even the best way to solve the problem in the first place? And the document that we're drawing from for this explainer? It's really special. It was put together by Raymond Makuni, a GIS and M&E specialist from Zimbabwe, along with his colleague Zibuso Moyo. And what I love is what they said about why they wrote it. It wasn't for a grade. It wasn't for some big publication. It was, and I'm quoting here, just prepared out of love for learning. I think that's fantastic. Okay, moving on to Section 3, the M&E playbook. So how does this all actually work in the real world? Because M&E isn't some fuzzy, abstract concept. Nope, it's a very systematic process with a clear playbook and some really useful tools. And the foundation, the starting point for pretty much any M&E plan, is something called a logic model. The best way to think of it is as the project's blueprint. Before you even start, it lays out the entire plan, from what you're putting in to what you're going to do, and all the way to what you hope to achieve at the end of the day. Let's make this super concrete with a simple example, a school breakfast program. Your inputs are the things you start with: funding, food, volunteers. The activities are what you do. You prepare meals, you serve breakfast. Pretty straightforward. The outputs are the direct result of those activities, say 100 meals served every day. But here's the magic, the most important part, the outcomes. That's the real change we're looking for. Things like improved student attendance or better concentration in class. The logic model is what connects all those dots, from a simple food donation all the way to a kid being able to learn better. That's powerful stuff. Okay, so if the logic model is your roadmap, then performance indicators, those are the gauges on your dashboard. They're like the vital signs you're tracking to see if you're actually making progress towards your goal. Without them, let's be honest, you're just flying blind. You're just guessing. But here's the thing. You can't just pick any old indicator. The best ones, the ones that really work, are SMART. This is a great acronym to remember. They have to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So for example, it's not enough to just say, we want to improve student attendance. A SMART one would be, increase the average daily student attendance by 10% before the end of this school year. See the difference? Suddenly, you have something real you can actually track and measure. So how do we actually collect the data for these indicators? Well, there's a whole toolbox of methods. We're talking about things like surveys and questionnaires, doing in-depth interviews, or getting a group of people together for a focus group. You can also do direct observation or just review existing documents. Each one of these gives you a slightly different piece of the puzzle.
Which brings us to Section 4, from data to decisions. Because, okay, we've got all this data now. So what? The whole point of this entire exercise is not to create some fancy report that just gathers dust on a shelf. It's to turn that information into smarter decisions.
When you do a big evaluation, it really comes down to answering 5 big questions. First, relevance. Was this project even a good idea to begin with? Second, effectiveness. Did it actually do what we said it would do? Third, efficiency. Did we use our resources, our time, our money well? Fourth, impact. Did it make a real, lasting difference in people's lives? And finally, sustainability. Will the good stuff last after we're gone? These are the questions that really matter. And when you do this work, the benefits are huge. A big chunk of it is accountability, being able to prove to donors and the community that you're using their resources wisely. But look at the other parts. It's also about learning and improvement, creating this feedback loop so you're constantly getting better. That naturally leads to better performance and helps build up a base of knowledge that can help everyone do better work in the future. It's a win-win-win. And that brings us to our final section, and really the whole point of this explainer: proof, not promises. Because in a world that is absolutely overflowing with good intentions, we really do need something more. That something more is monitoring and evaluation. It's what transforms those good intentions into actual measurable impact. It's the bridge that takes us from what we hope to do to what we can prove we've done. It's how we learn, how we adapt, and at the end of the day, it's how we get a whole lot smarter about making the world a better place. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you support a cause or donate to a project or give your time to something you believe in, are you just going to go with the promise, or are you going to ask for the proof?